It has been a problem in this community for years.
Now at 6, the city of Columbus is hiring an additional 150 firefighters by the end of the year. But there are pockets of the city that are deserts where response times are increased, or suburban departments help cover those calls through automatic response. 10 TV's Lacey Crisp asked Columbus Mayor Andrew Ginther what he's doing about this issue.
It's a great financial burden to the residents here. It's especially a burden on our seniors, but some of the residents I've talked to have had to set up payment plans.
Bruce Miller is the president of the Scioto Southland Civic Association and lives doors down from Columbus Fire Station 22, also just down the street from the Columbus Fire Academy. He says he's had to call for an ambulance 5 times in 6 years for his mother.
Out of those 5 times, 2 of them were answered by Columbus Fire. 2 of them were answered by Township Ambulance. She received a bill twice.
And Miller found out he wasn't alone. His neighbors came to him and told him they, as Columbus residents, had been billed for ambulance rides from outside departments.
So what occurs, resident calls for an EMS call. Someone else shows up from one of the townships. They receive a bill after their insurance. It's called hard billing.
Not every department bills for non-residents, though they are legally allowed to. Some soft bill or send a bill that says in fine print, you don't have to pay.
And they say, how can this happen? Why am I being billed $700, $800, $900? Why is my credit being damaged? And then they have to go through the fight. And we think that that's not fair, because they don't have a choice when they dial 911 in their time of need as to who do they have show up at their door.
According to the Matrix report, a study the city paid to research the needs of the division in 2022 as a low priority to add 4 more fire stations across the city to increase response times. One of those stations would serve Miller's community.
That's not because our single City of Columbus fire station is not doing a good job or they're not busy. It's the exact opposite. They are overwhelmed.
According to the Columbus Division of Fire, there were more than 205,000 runs in the city last year. Compare that to 143,000 10 years ago. There are currently 34 fire stations compared to 32 10 years ago.
Do you think the city needs to add more fire stations?
Well, we have more firefighters now than we've ever had in the history of this city, and we've added a number of fire stations and built new during my tenure as mayor.
According to CFD, there are 150 more firefighters now than 10 years ago. Columbus Mayor Andrew Ginther says as the city grows, adding more members and stations is something he monitors. He says mutual aid and automatic response is needed for the region.
Mutual aid, I think, is another great example of regionalism. That is all of us working together as a first responder community to help make sure that folks, regardless of where they live in Central Ohio, are getting that incredibly important first responder on the scene as quickly as possible.
But should that help come at a price to residents? Miller would argue more Columbus fire stations are needed to avoid residents getting billed.
When you have, again, using Columbus Fire Zone statistics down here, 60 to 65% of the time it's someone else answering the call. You have to really, that takes some pause, and you have to say, what are we doing here and what can we do to make things better?
In Columbus, Lacey Crisp, 10 TV News.
Now, we reached out to both Hamilton and Jackson Townships. In a statement, Jackson Township Fire said, quote, "We bill each patient's insurance if they have it. We do not practice hard billing. Residents do not receive a direct bill regardless of insurance payment, and non-residents may receive up to 3 statements but will not be held responsible if not paid after that." To answer your final question, since we do not hard bill, no patients have been hard billed over the last 5 years. End quote. Hamilton Township said, quote, "We do soft billing, whether you are in the township or outside of it. If you want to know who hard bills or soft bills non-residents, we have all that information on our website at 10tv.com.